Hey everyone, for today's Halloween video we're going to be making chocolate apples. For this, all you're going to need is apples, chocolate of your choice, and then any sort of toppings you would like. I really like to use Milka chocolate just because when it melts and it's put onto an apple it just tastes really good, or dairy milk. And then for toppings I like to choose other chocolate themed things like buttons and M&Ms and things along those lines. First thing you need to do is you need to put your apples on a stick. So I don't like to use lollipop sticks because they just get thrown out anyway and I see it as a waste. So I actually use forks because I have more forks than I need, considering it's just myself and my housemate that are here. I've got something like 20 forks. I don't know why. So I tend to just stab them with the fork. I can eat the apple and at the end I can just pull the core off the fork, wash the fork and reuse it again. It doesn't matter if you put the fork in the top or bottom of the apple, but try to make sure the side that isn't stabbed is mostly flat so the apple can stand up while it sets. Next, you're going to want to take an empty bowl and you're going to put your chocolate into it. So, because I'm using chocolate bars, obviously I have to break it up in advance and shake it into the bowl. You can also use chocolate chips. I find they melt very quickly and very easily. And make sure not to over microwave your chocolate. If you're using a microwave, obviously put it in a bowl. If not, you can use a hob. You can put it in a plastic bowl onto a saucepan of hot water and melt it over time like that. Whereas if you're using a microwave, do 15-20 second bursts at a time and stir it in between to make sure the chocolate melts evenly, because burnt chocolate is the worst smell. And it tastes horrific, so just if it burns, get rid of it. When your chocolate is melted, you're going to want to take your apples and you're just going to put the entire apple into the bowl. And I'm using a spoon instead of like a fork or anything else because I want to be able to put the chocolate up on top of the apple so that I can get an even coating. Because obviously I don't have enough chocolate in this bowl to entirely coat an apple just by dipping it. If you've got that much chocolate, fair play to you. Have fun. I'm jealous. Don't use the chocolate immediately after it comes out of the microwave because it's very runny. Give it 30-40 seconds to just kind of cool down a little bit while stirring it, and that way you'll get a much thicker layer of chocolate on your apple. Because if you've immediately taken it out of the microwave, you stir it, it's hot, it's liquid, you dip in the apple, it's actually all just going to run off it. And then you won't have a nice thick layer of chocolate, you'll just have a really thin layer. So I prefer a thick layer of chocolate. I like to hide the apple as much as possible so I can pretend I'm not eating healthy things. So use the thick chocolate, and then if you're wanting to put on toppings, leave it for about a minute or two at room temperature, and that way the chocolate will start to set, so when you put on toppings, they won't start just sliding straight off. Whereas if it's just a brand new, just microwave chocolate, it's going to melt everywhere, and when you put say a button on it, the chocolate might be so hot that it melts the button, or if you put say an M&M on it, it's going to just slide down the apple and not actually stay where you put it. When you've got your apples coated, put them onto a baking sheet on a tray, or you can just put them straight onto a plate, but I find they come off baking paper a lot easier, parchment paper, baking paper, whatever you call it, than they would from just a plate. So you're more likely to keep more chocolate on your apple if you put them on a baking sheet. Here I've used two different types of chocolate because I ran out of Milka chocolate. So the four you can see right now, I've got really thick chocolate, it's really nice, that's the Milka. And I only had to dip it the once and put them on the tray and that was it. Whereas the one on the left here is a slightly cheaper chocolate from Aldi. And it's kind of gone much thinner. So what I decided to do was I decided there was a little bit left in the bowl. I'm just going to top it up by pouring it over the top in little bits so that there's no gap between it and the fork, and just to thicken it up a bit because who doesn't like more chocolate? When you have all the chocolate on and your chocolate has started to cool just a little bit, you can then put on all the decorations you want. So I decided I was going to use white chocolate buttons for some of them. I was going to use M&Ms for some of them. I got some peanuts, but I misplaced them just before I made the video. So I'm not quite sure where they are. I need to find them. And then I'll make more apples and put them on it because I like peanuts. And they just go well with chocolate and apples. You can see here what I mean by the chocolate being really thick and just sturdy enough to hold the M&Ms. Because obviously you don't want them to go sliding down, whereas the one on the very left is kind of still very liquidy, so if I put something on that, it's actually just going to slide straight off. There's no point in trying to decorate that just yet. So that's it. It's a very short, very simple sort of craft that you can do and then you can eat. So I just said I'd include it because caramel apples and chocolate apples have always been a Halloween thing that I've known. So I said, why not? I'll make it as one of the videos. You can also do all sorts of other things, like you can use white chocolate or dark chocolate, or you can mix the two and marble them. You could have multiple layers of different types of chocolate. You can use caramel, you can either buy it in a can or you can make it yourself. There's endless possibilities. And sprinkles are really good, but I, again, couldn't find my sprinkles, so I couldn't use them for any of the apples, I'm afraid. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next Halloween video. Enjoy your chocolate apples.